Hey guys, it's Jumpy. I'm back again here from 2D Dream Studios here, and today I'm going to be teaching you a very interesting tool for you to use to help you make your own trailers. And this function is called Unity Timeline, and this is a really cool piece of software in Unity which can help you animate your characters without you actually having to do any coding. And it's all to do with the timeline, obviously. Why else would they call it timeline? So let's get started. So the first thing we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to go to component, and what we're going to do here is we're going to go window. What we're going to do here is we're going to want to do sequencing, and then as you'll see here, there's timeline. So we just click timeline. So here you are. So now that you've got a timeline set up, you can create a empty game object, and let's just call this timeline. So here, what we're going to do here is we are going to create a timeline with playable, and we're just going to call it timeline playable. Doesn't really matter. And so as you can see here, we are currently have our animation studio or our timeline studio. You may notice that this is extremely similar to the animation tab, which yet again is very useful. But for this, we're going to be using timeline. And what we can do here is we can set it up so that we can choose to see frames, time code, or seconds. But for today's video, we're going to be doing seconds. And you also to note these here, it may look like 1 minute, but in actuality, it's 1 second. So and then you can also change the frame rate from film 60 to film 24. PAL 30, 50, 60 frames per second, etc. So there's a couple of things you're going to need before you even start doing your Unity timeline. And that is, you're going to need a terrain object. Well, this can be a really simple plan. Let's just make a plan. 3D objects, plane. There you go. See, nothing too special about that. And let's just name this ground. And then what you're also going to need to do here is you're also going to need a base mesh, or well, anything with any sort of sprite with that is obviously pre-rigged. Now, this asset that I'm using right now is actually a board asset, but you can also download stuff from Mixamo, and that's still up and it's all free. So what I can do is I'm gonna drag my guy out here, and you can see he looks pretty cool. But you notice, and if we press play, my god, I hate it. You see that he currently doesn't do anything, and we want to change this because, well, who wants to have a trailer or an animation with a character just staying still? So what we're going to do here is we're going to get out, and what we're going to do is we're going to just start to animate this guy. So in the timeline, what we're going to do here is, actually, before we even start, we want to we want to know that our character is rigged. So I'm going to go character reference, hips, and spine. Spine 1, spine 2, left shoulder, right shoulder. And all the Mixamo characters should have this because they're already pre-rigged, so you can use anything. I'm just using a board asset that we're using for right time, so stay tuned for that. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to be, you can see how there's all these different bones inside this body. And what we can do is, if we use the rotate function, you can see that we can rotate his hips, and we can rotate his leg up, and his spine in any way really we want. See? And this can be really good for posing. And I'll probably do a little bit of that. So just to get yourself familiarized with it, I recommend you guys start to pose. You learn to pose your character, because posing your character is really fun. And it also gives you a really good feel for your character, and especially like when it's fully rigged and for the animation. The second thing I recommend you do, so that looks pretty bad. So I'm just going to it doesn't really matter. But you can just see here that maybe I just want his right shoulder to come up. And yeah, it's mainly just practice, because it took me a while before I even thought about doing Unity timeline, or even like making animation, because because animation can be a very tedious process, no matter how easy it looks like. for example in For Honor, which I'm going to play a clip about right now. So as you can see in the For Honor, you can see that the movements are actually pretty complex, especially in this hallway fight that we're showing right here. And we are obviously not going to get this first try because it's just way too complex, because they need to animate every single little frame. And this can be a very, very tedious process. So what we're going to want to do here is we're just going to want to reset our character. And a single animation can take probably like around a couple of days or even like a couple of months. So what we can do here is, because we've already got a timeline with our empty object, we can go to this plus menu. And this plus menu can add an animation track. And what you can do here is you can now drag in all the necessary bones required to move this, to make this guy move. So if I just get this character one right shoulder and I drag it in, now you can create an animator on the right shoulder. And you can see here you can rotate it up, down, etc. Like I said before with posing. So what we can do here now is we just press play, but our character doesn't do anything. And so what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to hit record. And you can see here that you can move in any way, place, or form around the timeline where you want the shoulder to move. And this is incredibly, like, really cool, because you can align certain animations with others. That, for example, if you're doing a fight scene, like in For Honor. So if I just record this guy, just say, here, and I just make his arm go up like that. And so now let's just play the animation. Well, that's his first stage, so you can't really do much. But if I just make it go down again, let's just, you'll see how it automatically goes down. And this is really cool. So if we are to do this properly, let's just delete both of these. Yeah. And now let's go back. So you just see here that we got a basic character. And I'm just going to do a quick overhead swing, because who doesn't like that in a pretty cool fight scene? And this is just the beginner. So what we're going to want to do here is we're going to want to go to animation or timeline. Use our timeline again. We want to obviously create a couple more animation tracks for the arms. And you may notice that when you first do this, the character may look a bit disfigured and a bit different, but it's okay. When you fully do the animation, it will look pretty smooth once it's pretty done. You just got to make sure you don't space them out too much, otherwise you'll get a very slow animation. And I've had a bit of experience with this, where the characters are literally like taking 10 seconds to like do a single animation, and it can be a bit discouraging, but I recommend you guys to actually stick to doing it. So I'm just going to create a couple more animators, and I'm going to do the left shoulder now. Create the animators, left arm, create left arm, and create left forearm. So here you are. So now we've got all these arms. So these bones are now like rigged to the animation. So if we just hit record on the right hand, so let's go right shoulder, and I'm decent at doing this, but if you just angle it, and if you go to a different perspective, for example, let's just go here, right? You can see that the right arm can rotate up, and you can see that that's his default position. So what we can do now is we can just go to the side, rotate his shoulder up, and then we can go move his arm inward, and then we can now if you just play, it will just move his arm very quickly just up. So yeah, this can take a bit of this can be a bit of an interesting process. Now that he's up there, what we can do here is we can align the right arm. So once he's fully there, you can see that nobody really holds the sword like up and then just swings down. They usually want to have a bit of momentum, so the sword will usually go around the back. So what we're going to want to do here from there is we just want to probably animate it a bit more, and probably animate the right, and probably animate the forearm, or yeah, the right forearm. Probably drag that back in there. So now that you can see that, so he goes up again, and then we can just record the form, just stays there. And then as it goes up here, it probably goes back here. And then if we just go into the front view, we can quickly see that he goes up. And this is really cool. So now that we've got our character like this, we can just do the same thing with the right hand. Or the left arm, sorry, my mistake. And this can take hours, because I remember the first animation I made, it was so bad. So don't feel bad if you don't get it right first try. Trust me. I spent like 2 hours and I was so proud after I finished it. I was really happy. So let's just go up. Oh crap, hang on. I made a mistake. And you want to make sure when you align your animations, it's just really simple. Like this. Let's just, whoa, a bit close there. Probably a bit sharp. Yeah. And probably left forearm, I'm going to rotate that as well up and bring that in. Left arm, probably bring that in a bit as well. Left forearm, probably good. And as you can see, if I do the left shoulder, we can rotate that up. So there we go. So then as the thing is moving up, we can make this left shoulder go up at the same time. So now if we just press play, they both will move up, and that's really, really cool, and that's what we want. And then what we can do now is we can just get left arm, bring that together, and there we go. But we want this guy to be holding the sword like he's about to strike. And well, usually most soldiers, I don't think, raise both their arms and smack. They usually have both hands on their sword. So what we're going to do here, from here, is we're going to use the left shoulder, rotate a little bit. So now if we play, you see the hands come together a little bit. And it's a bit harder to see because, hang on, let me just, whoa, that's a bit, there. So then now if you zoom in a bit more, you can actually see. I'll raise it up a bit more. If we slow it down, now we're ready to strike, and it looks pretty cool once it's finished. One up, and then as it's finished, you can just strike down. And you can obviously do a lot of this with the with like doing the spine and everything as well. And it can take a while, like I said. So if I just record even more, so once this guy goes up, this guy can get ready, and then I can make it so that maybe it takes him maybe a solid second to swing. And then let's just rotate down. And maybe move the left shoulder down as well. Yeah, it doesn't look great. Let's try this again. Yeah, no, that does not work at all. And it takes a bit of, it takes a lot of trial and error, which is okay. I mean, you gotta have, it teaches you patience. Oh god. But then you've got, yeah, so one up, and then you just bring it down, and then you got right shoulder, bring that down completely. There. So you can see now it's a bit slow, but what we can do is we can move these, drag, and move them very close. Go back to animation, go back to timeline, move them back to roughly maybe 55. So there, you can see he's just swinging down. And this is real. This video is not this is not a tutorial. Well, it is a tutorial. It's just mainly to teach you the basics of how to do of how to use timeline, and it affects in its entirety. So now after we've got this and he's swung, we can make his arm go down as well as his shoulder again. Rotate down, his forearm extends a bit and smacks down. And then the left shoulder will of course recuperate. Rotate the arm down. And there you go, you can make your first animation. And yeah, it's not ideal, but hey, it still works. And now you can also do like the spine and back movement so that you can get a pretty cool animation. If you guys did enjoy this video, please make sure you to hit the thumbs up and please subscribe for more really interesting content and timeline. I'm sorry this animation isn't great. This was mainly just an example to show you guys what timeline is all about and how basic and simple it is to use it. So as always, please enjoy, have a good day, and drink your coffee, and I'll see you guys in the next video. This is Jumpy On from 2D Dream Studios, signing off, and goodbye.